Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Breaking news, we're learning of an enormous immigration raid in an area about 40 miles east of Jackson, Mississippi. Associated Press is now reporting immigration agents arrested 680 people at a food processing plant there. Anybody know the name of the town?
Morton.
Morton is the home of one of the largest chicken farms in all of the country. The chicken production houses there are the lifeblood of the economy in tiny Morton, Mississippi. And for years and decades, immigrants have worked in those facilities. If you were looking for a target to go to try to round up a bunch of people who were hard at work in the chicken processing plant, personally could think of no better target than the chicken processing plants in Morton, Mississippi. So away they went, and they just arrested hundreds and hundreds of people. Largest raids in about a decade.
So there you have it. Shepard Smith, breathlessly reporting what a disgusting, disgraceful thing that. I mean, you have to ask yourself: is Trump a human pillar of salt now? You know, anybody read the Bible? Anybody out there know it? There's a portion in there where, a woman looks back at Sodom and Gomorrah, turns her into a pillar of salt. That is Donald Trump. He is the human pillar of salt, and he is rubbing himself, into the wounds of the people in El Paso, the people in Dayton. I mean, the only thing he did right yesterday when he went to Dayton and El Paso was he didn't call Dayton Toledo and he didn't call El Paso Dayton. Other than that, I mean, he is a human salt pillar, and he applied himself, directly on the wound of the nation, and the nation is hurting. That's the thing. I mean, we have PTSD. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, people don't go to a movie theater anymore without first locating the exits. It used to be just the plane. You located the exit. Like, what good was that going to do you anyway? I'm just going to, jump out is what I'll do. But this is crazy. This is, what Trump has created. You heard the story about the, in Times Square. I'm a New Yorker, right? I used to have a billboard in Times Square, one of those giant billboards. Remember that? Yeah. That's a great story, though. I walked to the corner to see it by myself because I didn't know what I would find. I didn't know how my face would look on a 40-foot poster. It's just gigantic. I don't even know how big that thing is. And I was scared. I was really scared. So I walked there from my apartment. I lived on 38th Street, so I walked to 42nd. I'm standing on the corner, and I look, and I see this giant billboard with my face on it. And I look at a random stranger, and I said to him, hey, that's me. And he looked at me, and he looked at the poster, which obviously was airbrushed. It's what they do. He looked at me, he looked at the poster, and he said, sure it is, lady. And I was, that's the perfect story. Yay, that's a great story. But 42nd Street, Times Square, very busy, very touristy, very, and last night, Broadway, the plays are all there. And they were in the last portion of Hamilton. They were in the last portion of To Kill a Mockingbird. And all of a sudden, I mean, it wasn't just the people on the street that were running. I don't know if you saw the video, but this is PTSD. Is what this is. Watch this. This is 20 seconds of what happened in Times Square. This was in response to, by the way, a dirt bike backfiring a couple times, and people thought it was gunshots, right?
You're kidding me. Like what?
See everybody running? Running. Look at that. That's PTSD. I mean, literally, who wants to live like this? We don't want to live like this. This is mass madness, you maniacs. This is crazy. And so now, of course, Fox News is the solution to all of this. is to surround the movie theaters. Now we have to surround the Broadway theaters. We have to surround our schools. We have to surround our malls. We have to surround Luby's. We have to surround the Waffle House. We have to surround all of our concerts now. You know, we need an outside perimeter and inside. Also that 32% of America can hoard all the freaking assault weapons. I mean, it is just a sick situation. But let me tell you, people were injured in that. That's the story that I didn't hear get told. But people were injured. A 12-year-old girl was she broke her wrist because she was running. People are literally running right out of their shoes. Right out of their shoes. I remember when I went to the Holocaust Museum. I don't know why, but the thing that made me literally lose it. The whole thing is just a sad sense of cruelty. The whole Holocaust Museum. I mean, as you move from one exhibit to the other with the measuring of people's skulls and the Mengele experiments and but there's this one display that really is gonna, I don't know, it made me literally retch. I mean, I was like heaving. You know when you cry so hard you bite your tongue like that? Like a little kid whose mom was just taken away in a raid while she was hard at work at a chicken plant cutting and processing chickens, you know, like that there. Yeah, like crying like that. So I had that what Oprah calls the ugly cry. I had it. It was all the shoes. It was a big giant bin of all those black, you know, death camp shoes that they issued to all the Jews. I don't know why. And every time I look at the pictures of people running out of their shoes, both in Times Square last night and in El Paso at the Walmart, I don't know why that affects me the way it does, but it just does. Maybe it has something to do with the Christian teachings of the rapture, where I realize that I am a good person, and if your fairy tale comes true, if your apocalyptic ending for this world comes true, then I will be raptured up, and the only thing that will be left is my adorable shoes, which is why I spend so much time on Zappos.com at 6 p.m., which is even cheaper, but they don't have free shipping and returns, right? Picking out cute shoes, because I realize sometimes that's all that's going to be left of me. But so a little girl was running last night in Times Square. She broke her wrist, and a 79-year-old man fell and fractured his kneecap. I mean, you know, why do we need to live like this? To make a freaking lobby shop, the gun lobby, happy? I don't know if you saw what happened yesterday. I mean, you know, Trump literally was not welcome anywhere he went yesterday. He just wasn't. Okay? And the amount of polarization that goes on in this country with the freaks that, hail Trump, hail Caesar, whatever. You know, the white supremacists that just freaking love him. And the rest of us who don't. Fights started out in Dayton, right at the crime scene. Right there, right at the crime scene, right in front of that Ned Pepper's place, which is where the shooter was killed and stopped. Because if he would have made it into Ned Pepper's, I mean, you would have seen, you know, something like Vegas, that kind of a body count. I mean, it was just so sick. Anyway, they were fighting there before he even got there. And then, you know, the only time that Trump actually met with any of the legislators, from the mayor, Nan Whaley, who's making so much sense that everybody is falling in love with her, and Sherrod Brown, who also, Sherrod Brown was going to not show up to meet the president. He didn't want to, but the mayor of Dayton asked if he would please, accompany her. And the only time Trump made contact with them was on the tarmac. And of course, they didn't issue an itinerary. So the city had no idea where he was going to go, what he was going to do, whether or not he would go to the crime scene, whether or not he would go to a church. Well, nobody knew where he was going. So the only place that the two legislators could talk to Trump was very quickly as he shook their hands on the, greeting line on the tarmac. And they just made their case as quickly as they could for gun legislation, for meaningful gun legislation that would prevent mass murders from occurring at this kind of a clip, right? That's all they did. They welcomed him, and then after they had a press conference where they said that they thought that some of the victims in Dayton were happy that he came, and they felt comforted by him. And then Trump got on the airplane going to El Paso, another crime scene, and started mean tweeting. This is the human pillar of salt. He has to rub it into the wound. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.